wasn't in control of his people or his policy?
I believe that the president was poorly advised and poorly served. I think that he should have followed up more and monitored this operation more closely. I think he was not aware of a lot of the things that were going on and the way the operation was structured and who was involved in it.
Now that the report is out, the next move is up to President Reagan. It's his call on what happens next. His administration and his image that are clearly in need of great repair today, Friday, February the 27th, 1987.
From NBC News, this is Today with Bryant Gumbel and Jane Pauley.
And good morning. Welcome to Today on this Friday morning, a rather grim Friday morning, we might well imagine, for a White House shown to be deficient and in disarray. Like most Americans, like most of us for that matter, you may still be digesting the meaning of that Tower report this morning and its potential effects. We're going to be talking of that report at length this morning with an eye towards its real impact and where we go from here. To that end, we'll be talking with a Tower Commission member responsible for the report, General Brent Scowcroft, with two senators on a committee set to investigate the affair, David Bourne and William Cohen, and with our panel of political pundits, too, Ken Bodie, David Broder, Jack Germond. They'll be here. Jane?
Other items on our agenda as well include Richard Chamberlain, Valerie Bertinelli, and Gloria Steinem brings the first of a two-part talk with former First Lady Betty Ford.
Let's move to the news desk with John Palmer. Good morning, John.
Brian, Jane, thanks. Good morning. President Reagan is faced this morning with rebuilding confidence in his administration following that highly critical Tower Commission report on the Iran-Contra affair. White House
visibly shaken.
Whatever this report may say, I have appointed, or I'm proud to have appointed this distinguished board because...
And he ducked out without answering the inevitable questions about his chief of staff.
The board was Donald Reagan.
White House officials say Reagan's departure, expected shortly, will be a big part of the solution. Congressional Republicans say there is no choice.
If I were in Mr. Reagan's shoes, I would tender my resignation.
Obviously, the president has to clean house and bring in a new team of advisors.
And today, the president will turn to leading Republicans for advice, bringing in Senators Dole and Simpson, Representatives Lott, Cheney, and Michael, and former Senator Laxalt. An outside speechwriter is already preparing drafts of a speech to be given next Wednesday night. Aides say Mr. Reagan will not apologize, but knows he has to deal with the conclusion that he traded arms for hostages. He knows he must shake up his staff, and they say he will endorse the Tower recommendation of a single House-Senate Intelligence Oversight Committee. The Reagans are staying here in town this weekend tonight to see Stuart Spencer, longtime political friend. On Sunday, they'll have dinner with Charles Price, ambassador to Great Britain, and possible replacement for Donald Reagan. And the president will try to show that he's reaching out to critics by telephoning them for advice, including, we expect, calling Sam Nunn. John?
Thanks, Andrea. NBC News correspondent Jim Cummins went to a town in Nebraska to get reaction from some of the people there to the Tower Commission findings, and here now is his report.
Tecumseh, Nebraska. It's business agriculture. It's politics Republican. Newspaper editor Dwayne Kunzman says the voters here re-elected Ronald Reagan by a wide margin in 1984, but now...
I don't think they believe him as much as they did then.
The reason? Dealings with the Iranians.
Because of Mr. Reagan, President Reagan, saying that we'll never do business with them, and we won't trade arms for hostages, and then it comes out that's exactly what happened.
The issue among the people on the town square is this. Did the president deceive the public about his role in the scandal? Lori Deason says the Tower Commission report confirms he did.
I don't know if he's really lying. I just don't think he was just admitting everything that he knew.
But the old men over at Jack's barbershop said they can understand the president's problem.
Well, he's getting forgetful. He admits that. I think he's truthful.
Vera Robison, farm wife who works two jobs off the farm, on Mr. Reagan's role in the scandal.
I'm sure that he knew more about it, and I think that he could have done something about it and didn't.
Yeah.
And so really, all in all, I think he's cheated the country.
One man said if President Reagan were running for re-election today, he'd lose by a wide margin in this town. Jim Cummins, NBC News, Tecumseh, Nebraska.
Civil libertarians are hailing a California judge's decision which they say removes a major threat to women's rights. Pamela Ray Stewart was accused of contributing to her son's death by disobeying doctor's orders and allegedly taking illegal drugs and engaging in other activities that endangered her unborn child. The boy was born with severe disabilities and died several months later. The judge dismissed the charges. With all their advances in high technology, the Japanese are leaders in yet another field, comic books. Steve Mallory reports from Tokyo.
It could be called comic relief, since comic books are more popular in Japan than ever before. Nearly a third of the paperbacks and magazines sold here are comics. Regardless of age, you'll see addicts devouring them everywhere. The thick books feature the usual subjects with outlandish characters. Heroes and heroines battling evil with an excess of graphic sex and violence. The hottest comic sells 4 million plus copies a week. That might make your average literature teacher shudder, but here, not necessarily. Comic books are now in the classroom. One comic textbook is used to help these college students study mathematical principles. There are also economic primers. This one features problems about Japan's growing trade surplus. For intellectuals, Alvin Toffler's Third Wave. Karl Marx might be pleased that his message is reaching the masses. Educators and publishers believe illustrations can help readers comprehend some concepts more easily. Skyrocketing sales of such specialty comics might indicate that readers agree. And those who don't want to spend $1.50 to buy their favorite comic are in luck. They can go to Tokyo's comic book library. The enormity of the comics' popularity here is finally put into perspective, or priority, upon learning that more paper is produced to make comic books than is used to make toilet paper. Steve Mallory, NBC News, Tokyo.
7:30 now after the hour. Back to Brian.
All right, John, thank you. Time for a check of the weather now. And there's a birthday party going down in Florida this morning, and among the invited guests are Doc, Happy, Sleepy, Sneezy, Grumpy, Dopey, and Willard. Good morning, Mr. Scott.
Which one is Dopey and which one's Willard? You know, I worked for a Mickey Mouse operation for the last 37 years. I thought I'd see how a professional one is run. So we are down here at Disney World celebrating their 15th anniversary, and a young lady here celebrating her birthday. But first of all, Paul Hecht, one of the greatest engineers in the business. Anybody in broadcasting knows without engineers, you have no station. Paul Hecht with Wavy TV. It's 30 years in the business. They finally liberated him. They came up with some money, and he's going to get sprung. Also, the Iditarod, that fabulous race all the way from Anchorage to Nome, gets underway this weekend. A Japanese dog won it last year. And this weekend in Los Angeles, Snow White, the L.A. Marathon gets underway. And you know who else's birthday today?
No.
Roadrunner is 40. Roadrunner, beep, beep, 40 years old. Isn't that something?
Dopey?
Dopey. What, me? Is that for me or what?
No.
How'd you get these guys out of the diamond mine this early?
Well, they thought they'd welcome you here, and we'd give you this.
Oh, Snow White. That is so nice. Isn't that what you put them on my head? Would you crown me?
Sure.
Here you go. I used to wear these years ago. You know, I was a Musketeer. Someday my prince will come. We'll send that to Kodak. And you're not 50 years old, but...
No, the anniversary of my movie will be out this year. I mean, it's the anniversary, 50th anniversary.
50th anniversary. Snow White has been with us for 50 years. Isn't that something? And the dwarfs, we love you all so much. All union help, in case anybody cares. Okay, back to the salt mines, boys. Let's check the act this morning and see what we have. Look out, look out. More severe thunderstorms again today. Hail, possible tornadoes. Cities affected. Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Jackson, Mississippi, New Orleans, where Mardi Gras gets underway this weekend, Houston, and Little Rock. Be on the lookout. Flash flood watches in the southern plains and lower Mississippi and the Tennessee valleys. 3 to 5 inches of rain possible. With all my beautiful dwarfs and my lovely and adorable Snow White, we want to wish Lily Pickle of Upland, California, happy birthday. Let's wave to Lily, gang. And now back to BG in New York.
Willard, thank you. 7:10 now, and in close-up this morning, President Reagan and the Tower Commission report. As I think you know, the document paints a picture of confusion and chaos among the president and his closest advisors. For more on this, we go to our Washington newsroom where one of the 3 commission members joins us. He's former national security advisor from the Ford administration, retired Air Force Lieutenant General Brent Scowcroft.
Ford. Gloria Steinem. Robert Fennell used to hold a high-pressure corporate job. Now he's into meditation. Don Van Eiderstein was a man who loved to raid the refrigerator.
Breadsticks. Yeah, this was my downfall. I used to buy it by the gallon.
These 2 men are now part of an ambitious study being conducted by Dr. Dean Ornish, who joins us now. You want to know basically if heart disease can be cured, in effect, what, without surgery?
Yes, for many years people have been confused. There's on one end of the spectrum people who can say that changing lifestyle will reverse heart disease. On the other end, you have many doctors who say that once you have heart disease, it's too late to do anything about it other than to operate or to take drugs. What we're trying to do is to see whether a combined program of changing lifestyle, that is stress management, diet, exercise, and stopping smoking, can stop and perhaps even reverse the disease process.
Radical changes in lifestyle. You have a long list of things that thou shalt not do while a member of this research experiment. What is the list?
Well, again, in the experiment, we're trying to define one end of a spectrum. What's the most change you can see in a one-year period? So we ask people not to eat any fat, well, very little fat, no cholesterol. It's essentially a non-fat vegetarian diet, to do an hour of stretching, breathing, yoga, meditation for every day, an hour of exercise 3 times a week, and not to smoke.
And the list of things that they also must do, unless you covered that, did you mention the psychological help and just in terms of teaching people how to relax? What happens when they stray from your rules?
Well, we try to show that the stress comes not so much from what people do, but how they react to what they do. And there are various ways people can learn to react to what could be stressful situations in ways that aren't so stressful.
For example?
Oh, the various techniques that we've been talking about, stretching, breathing, meditation, psychological counseling, all of which can take what might have been bad and might have been destructive and make it so it's not so stressful.
Your research is not done, but what preliminary results have you seen?
Well, so far we found there's a 40% reduction in their blood level of cholesterol, a 60% reduction in what's called the LDL, or the bad level of cholesterol. Most people have become pain-free and they feel better. Whether these changes will be reflected in the disease process changing, we don't know yet.
Would one of the experts who would have said that heart disease is not reversible, would they be surprised at your numbers?
Well, these are bigger changes than I think anyone has ever shown, even in studies that use cholesterol-lowering drugs, which were not. So to that extent, it is surprising. We've also shown that people are able to change their lifestyles to this degree in a real-world setting.
If, when the project is over and you find what you hope to find, what conclusions will you draw from that?
Well, if we show that you can stop the disease process or even reverse it, that'll be important, because current methods of treating heart disease don't really do much about the causes. It's like mopping up the floor around a sink that's overflowing without turning off the faucet. For example, people who have bypass surgery, while it can be life-saving in some cases, it doesn't treat the cause. So after 5 years, up to half of the people who've had a bypass need another one.
As I indicated, these are pretty tough rules you set. That implies a lot of motivation. Is a man, and primarily men, with a life-threatening disease automatically motivated enough to comply with your rules?
Well, not necessarily. I think Mark Twain put it best when he said, was it, "Doc, if I give up wine, women, and song, will I live longer?" And he said, "No, but it may seem longer." So Twain said, "Well, I may give up singing if I have to choose." What we're trying to show, though, is that you feel better. You don't have to wait 30 or 40 years for the heart attack that doesn't come, but you begin to feel better now.
All right, Dr. Ornish, thank you, and good luck.
Thanks.
We'll be back in a moment. On After 8 next, something called crystal consciousness. But first, this is Today on NBC.
Every morning and putting on a great face. Not every morning, let me guarantee you.
Yeah, I get points today.
What do you mean you get points?
Because I am trying to keep the level up, and I'm dragging somebody with me.
Hey, it's not my best day, that's true. It's not my best day. This is one of those days when I am probably not in love with half, a lot of folks that I'm running in contact with. Let's put it that way. What?
What do you mean? What? Details.
No, it's one of those...
Who won the fight?
It wasn't... I mean, it's one of those days where...
Was it a petty thing, or...
It's never petty.
Oh, nothing is petty in Bryant's...
That's right. I mean, it's one of those days, and I'm sure you've had them, where you happen to believe that the opposite sex as a sex is greatly overrated. And that's kind of the way I'm feeling right now. I mean, I'm kind of thinking that guys in the world are really, boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So what else is new?
No. I mean, worse than normal. Worse than normal. I mean, it really is just like...
Can you spell misogyny?
Careful. Careful.
Anyway.
Anyway, but I mean, we do have these days where, and you've had yours.
Yes, I have.
I mean, you know, we have these days where it's kind of tough, where throughout the whole thing, you're kind of boosting yourself and saying,
I'll
okay,
have to say,
get into the ball game.
External things don't have that effect on me. I mean, I won't bring that kind of baggage in. It's less clear why I have down days, why my energy level one day will be lower. There is not going to be a specific, you can't look at Wednesday to explain a Thursday for me. It's less predictable.
I'm mindful of something that was going on back when I was in sports. Remember when Pete Rose had his big hitting streak?
Who could forget it?
and there were a lot of people who were saying, boy, what an amazing example of concentration, because he's got all of these off-the-field problems, and yet he continues to perform. And now it's becoming clear to me that's not so difficult, because sometimes what you do is your release.
Yes.
I mean, what you do...
he's out there wanging a baseball.
What you do is the safe haven. I mean,
told you,
it's when you leave here, it's when you leave here the problems begin.
You remember I interviewed Dr. Ornish over there, and we were talking about stress. Before we went on, he wasn't the crystals guy. Before he went on, I told him, talking about stress and stress relief, that someone once measured my blood pressure. Don't put the camera on him yet. I'm trying to talk and you'll be distracting. Thank you. That somebody once measured my blood pressure before we went on, and my blood pressure actually went down in the course of the program. And he pointed out that many times the anticipation is much more stressful than the performance. All right.
No, that's what we need here. No, seriously. We need something for those times when we are stressed out. And maybe that'll do it. Maybe we ought to get
Should I get Grace in here on standby?
No, seriously. Maybe, I'll never
Grace,
uncoil
could
these
you bring
babies.
a needle and thread?
I mean, in case you hadn't noticed, these fellas were not meant to do this. But, I mean, maybe we ought to...
I hope you paid a lot of money for those pants, because they were worth it.
Listen to what they're playing. I mean, we'll come back. If you can't tell, it's a Friday morning, and this day is not going the way it was intended. We're going to try to meditate and come back and get the next half hour straight. Anyway, we'll be back after a station break.
The villain.
We put her to bed as Cinderella, and she woke up as Godzilla.
The marshmallow.
Kitty has some magical power over you.
The sheriff.
When the three of them are in a struggle like that, then I launch like a rocket and land on all three of them.
And the little brother. All he wants is peace and quiet. Like many families, the Levises are having problems. Kitty is growing up.
We've had a pretty tough fall as a family.
It's like someone's flicked a light switch and the life changed, where I think we were communicating very well, and all of a sudden the ability to communicate was taken away.
And so they've come for counseling to Yvonne Winehouse and Karen Friedman, two St. Louis therapists who have written a book called Stop Struggling with Your Teen.
Okay, I want freedom.
In sessions such as this, Winehouse and Friedman use a lot of role-playing.
You want freedom in the morning?
Yeah, no, I want freedom to go places.
Okay.
Let me summarize what I've heard you two say, all right? What you said is, I want more freedom. I want to be able to go where I want to go, when I want to go. Is that right? Okay. And what you said is, I'm tired of kicking her in the butt to get places.
She can be treated as a budding adult, and you're not doing that now. You're treating her like she's a little china doll, that if you say the wrong thing, she's going to fall apart and not be able to put herself back together again. She's a pretty tough cookie, let me tell you something. And
they also interact and analyze as they go along. At one point, there was even a little shoving.
So, Zach, you kind of get her mad.
Okay.
Oh, my God. Oh, that's good. Then you just move those. This is hard. Of course. That's why you're here, lady.
It is hard, especially for Janie Levis, for she is a therapist herself, an adult counselor. But when it came to her own daughter, she had to seek help. It's hard, too, because Winehouse and Friedman have concluded that she is a marshmallow and that Kitty has her twisted around her little finger.
It's so hard to see this stuff when I'm doing it.
Janie Levis cried following that session, but that evening the family attended another one, this time an open group session. As in the morning, there was another disconcerting moment for Mrs. Levis when they got around to more role-playing.
I want to go to Charmy's house to spend the night there.
I'm really feeling uncomfortable about this.
I don't care.
Well, I appreciate that you don't care, but it's 9 o'clock at night.
I feel like, you know, if you had wanted to do this, you could have gotten it arranged before.
Okay, let's continue.
I wanted to do it, but I didn't have enough guts.
Okay, Karen.
The message in the book written by the two therapists is fairly simple. They advise parents to take a stand, but also to negotiate when their children want something that the parents don't want them to have. One key is to find a balance.
That is what we are really here to talk about, is finding the balance between freedom, which we really see as giving your teen the opportunity to make some responsible decisions and feel good about themselves and their ability to make decisions, and balancing that with the parents' right to have certain rules and certain expectations in that family for every member of that family.
The Levis family realizes that their problems haven't been solved in 2 sessions of therapy, but they say they're going to try to change things now.
Some of the things that Karen and Yvonne pointed out to me, I was absolutely, I mean, I needed them to show me because I was so in it. And I still, you know, it's going to take a lot to work some of that out.
I'm going to listen a lot better. I don't think I've listened well in the past.
I'm really going to try because I think this stuff is so important.
Here's what Kitty thinks parents should do when they experience such troubles.
They like people at my age like to go places and everything, and I think they should let them go places if they make an agreement for something like that. If the parents won't let them go anyway, like say I'll do something for you.
Kitty realizes also that it isn't always that easy. Here's her response when we asked what advice she has for parents.
Good luck.
Let me tell you from personal experience that getting through the teenage years in one piece does take some luck. But you also need good advice and a plan. So I'd like to recommend 2 books. One of them called Stop Struggling with Your Teen by Winehouse and Friedman. And then this book, Teenagers, When to Worry and What to Do by Douglas Powell. If you can't find these books in your local bookstore or library, write to me and I'll tell you how to order them by mail. Send me a self-addressed stamped business-sized envelope, care of Box A, Burbank, California. Our zip code is 91510. Please do me a favor, write the word teens on the front of your envelope to me. That helps us to respond more quickly. Brian?
Let's note, you're not suggesting that families race from one analysis session to another.
No, it really doesn't take analysis. As a matter of fact, there's some very effective strategies in these books I've recommended, though.
Okay. Dr. Erd, thank you. Ford, Mel Gibson, and Alf will be with us, the alien life form from Melmac. That does it for all of us. Thanks for being here. Enjoy your weekend.